Well, today, guys, I'm bringing you another dyno video, and I promise you I won't always bring you dyno videos. It's just that in the engine assembly room over there, we have like 8 engines that are ready to be pushed across the finish line, get them through the dyno, fix whatever it is we got to fix, and have them ready to go in the car. So today we have a 1937 Cord 812 supercharged V8 engine. This engine is built by Lycoming. Of course, Lycoming was owned by the Auburn Automobile Company in Cord. Horizontal valve design, just like the V12 Auburn engine. It's kind of a Lycoming thing. Roller rockers that are running the valves. Otherwise, it's pretty conventional engine. On the supercharged version, they had a Swirlitzer Cummins horizontally mounted supercharger turning 6-to-1. And we'll look at some interesting things on the results here of what I kind of think is going on inside this engine. Let's take a look at a couple of sweeps, listen to the engine. You can see, boy, it is, some engines are not exactly the same as others. Well, they're all a little bit different. This one's pretty exceptional.
You can hear the dyno is pulling down or putting a load on the engine, and then we let it go at a certain rate, and that's what's going to measure our torque and calculate our horsepower.
So we'll bring up some of our results here and see what the torque power curve is and see if it works with some of the other torque power curves that we have, say on the non-supercharged Cord V8 engine, and then the one that we just got done, the Stutz DV32. We'll compare those torque power curves a little bit and see what it looks like. Let's take a look. Now we did about, I don't know, 8 sweeps or something like that here. And here you can see what our peak horsepower is and what the peak torque was. And here's the RPM and the peak torque. Here's our RPM and the peak horsepower through all those poles. Here's our weather conditions, because remember we have a weather station on there that gives us a corrected torque and a corrected horsepower figure. So it'll tell us what our humidity is, what the barometric pressure is, what our OAT is. Well, it's what's in the dyno. So this spread right here just gives us the actual numbers of what these were as we were going through the sweeps. I dropped out sweep number 3 because we had a fuel starvation problem. We ran out of fuel in the dyno. So I dropped that one out, but the rest of these are pretty good. This is a 175 horsepower engine out of the book. I kind of think that if the supercharger is working right, it tops that, because we normally get 185 to 195 horsepower out of it. This one, I don't know what's going on here. These numbers are really high in this 230, 228, 226, you know, like right in here, this 228, 227, 225, even the 221 down here. I'm wondering if my correction factor in this was right, and I can't remember what it was. We'll look that up. Usually runs between 130 to 135%. we're at 6,400 feet elevation, and then it takes into account, you know, all this, which gives you a density altitude. You pilots and all that will fully understand what that's about. This is the torque power curve that we got out of it. It's a little bit different. Most torque power curves start up high on the torque, and then it just goes down to a certain point. The horsepower builds up until they meet, and then they both drop off when you're at your peak RPM. This is a 4,200 RPM engine. We quit collecting data at 4,000 because it just continues to drop off. So this one is a little bit different, and I think the reason why is the supercharger. I really feel like it's not doing much but dragging horsepower and performance through this range until you get up here toward the peak, and then I think it starts kicking in somewhere around 3,000 RPM. We'll show you a pole or two here, and you can see, you can just hear the engine kind of give it a little bit of lag, and then all of a sudden it takes off, and that's just pure conjecture, but I think that's what's going on. We see this typically in the supercharged quart engines. We don't see this typically in other engines. So we can go to our fuel flows and see what we're bouncing around at. When we were breaking this engine in, which we have to break in the manifolds, remember, if we don't step them up, the porcelain will just fly off of them. But when we were doing that, we had numbers all over the board here in our fuel flows. These numbers are looking pretty good, pretty consistent, pretty good, and that's why I think we get nice, even numbers here. When we were having trouble with our fuel pump and they were running out of fuel, these things were all over the place over here, especially past 3,000 RPM. So that all sort of settled out, and then we can go down and we can also look at our oil sheet, which is our engine oil pressure. We're running really good pressures all the way through on all the sweeps. Our engine oil temperature is running great. We don't mind 185, and we're running 170, 160s, somewhere in there. Water temperature we control with the dyno, so we can put whatever it is we want to in there. So yeah, we're all into numbers, especially performance guys. You're looking for 1 horsepower, 2 horsepower, quarter horsepower, trying to get a little bit more out of it. For us, this is all about, is the engine putting out what it's supposed to do? So if the numbers are a little bit high or a little bit low, we're not really too concerned about it. We're more concerned about, is it consistent? Is it putting out the same thing, pull after pull after pull, different heat ranges? Is it operating as it should? How do you know? If you just have a test stand and you put it out there, yeah, it runs, but it may be putting out half the horsepower that it's supposed to. So one of these is critically important to know. I'll bet you 95% of the engines that we put on the dyno, they run right off the bat, they sound nice, they idle nice and all that, but they don't give peak performance. We're always adjusting the timing, we're adjusting. Carburetors is a big thing, always adjusting carburetors to get it up to where it should be. Now we can drop this in the car, we know it's good, we can move on to other things in assembling the car. Well, that all looks pretty good. We could do that all day long, and it would be basically the same thing. Now, when we were breaking in the manifolds and we were running it up and getting it up to full RPM, the thing was bouncing all over the place above 3,000 RPM. And we discovered that it was fuel pressure. Our fuel pressure was a little bit low, about 3 pounds. This engine calls for 4.2 pounds. And that little bit of difference in fuel pressure made all the difference in this engine running above 3,000 RPM. So this torque power curve is going to stay the same no matter how many more pulls we do. So we've had about 3 hours of dyno time on this engine. It's doing exactly what it should, so we're going to call it a day. Well, we'll call it a wrap on our 812 chord supercharged V8 engine. This thing is exactly where we want it to be. So we go ahead and pickle them, we fog the cylinders, we get all the fuel out of them, and we make sure that they're going to be okay while they're sitting waiting for the body or something like that. We don't always have the timing perfect on these cars. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the 810, 812 cord, there's 1936, 1937 cords. These were a unibody construction front-wheel drive car. So this engine sort of looks backwards to some of you. This is actually the firewall side. This pulley here drives the generator that sits here. And around on the front side that has our flywheel, that's going to attach to our transaxle, and the water pump up front here is going to be right next to the radiator, which is sitting on top of the transaxle. So everything's a little bit different. We've done a lot of these cords. I'd love to bring you the story about how they built these cars, how they designed them, why they built them the way they did, a little bit of the story about E.L. Cord and the Auburn Automobile Company. It's really a fascinating one. In the meantime, you guys have fun in the garage.